social media's changed now, because certainly the attention spans have been decimated in real time. I know mine have. I know even me as a person, I can't focus on a video for more than 4 or 5 minutes max. Have you ever looked up something like how to find a setting on your iPhone, and the guy's like, hello, my name is this, I will tell you. Oh, skip, shut the fuck up. Where's the setting? Like, you don't have time. You can't focus on anything. So if across the last 6 years of doing long form content, they take the 15 seconds. Nobody's interested in anything else. They take the last bit, it goes viral, and what can you do? Nobody wants to pay attention to anything long format, or the context, or the nuance. And when you're discussing difficult issues, there's going to be context, there's going to be nuance, and that's the way it goes.
I saw your interview, which because I've known him a long time.
Yeah.
From the fight game, when he's not a YouTuber, he's a fighter. Turned. I don't know what to call you now, to be honest.
Fuck knows.
What are you now?
Top G.
Top G.
Top G.
Number one enemy of the Matrix, Morpheus.
And I saw your one with Penis Morgan. What I like.
Yeah.
Sugar Sean O'Malley used that word. It was funny. And when you was talking about the 24-year-old,
yep,
you said about 18s and 24-year-olds. Yep. I understood the context. I've seen that.
Yep.
But what was funny was how he was going to say, "Are you saying all 24-year-olds are, you know,
yeah,
I don't want to be like in an abrupt way used or has-beens." But I knew exactly what you mean through society and through history. I myself, you meet a woman or you're on a blind date. The first thing, if she says to you, "Yeah, you know, I was on a babe station for 10 years," let's be honest, we'd all be like, "Oh, okay," you know. If you're seriously interested. So your point was not it's bad or someone's used. Someone who's had a lot of partners is tending to be pushed away rather than a girl who's less sociable in a way. That's what you meant.
Yeah, and women are beyond criticism now. Women are absolutely idolized, and I'm not saying that women should be criticized. I'm saying that we should all be held to the same standard, and we should be fair. And we're all going to be products of our habit. We're habits, right? We're habitual creatures. If you do the same thing every single day, it's pretty fair for me to assume that you're likely to do it again in future. So if you meet a woman who sleeps with a bunch of dudes, it's pretty likely to assume, well, maybe she's going to continue, or she's more likely to do it. You'd have to be an absolute fool to believe that somebody's not likely to do things they've already done before and they have a habit of. So to look at someone and go, they have a habit of acting in a way I don't particularly align with, I don't think I want that kind of behavior in my future, especially with something as important as children or family. For you to even have that standard is misogynistic. That's how they attacked me.
That's my point. It's your opinion. And it's your like taste or like. For example, you might have one, I might have one. Yeah. Some guys might say, I like a girl who's experienced. I like what we said, that derogatory term, MILF, or older or younger or cougar, whatever you want to call it. So my point is, you can't push an agenda. That's your taste. You saying, I specifically think this. And they went, no, he's this.
Not allowed, Tam. You're not allowed an opinion. Not allowed.
You know, I never thought I'd get to say this to your face, but I really admired your strategy with Piers Morgan. And I could tell, because I've had to debate him on TV before. Yep. And I'm sat on a flight on my own, and I'm like, okay, this is what I'm going to get, this is what I'm going to give back. And you have to manage him very well.
Yep.
And when I watched that interview, part of me was like, is he going to be able to do what he does best to make Tate look bad?
Yeah.
And you kind of nailed it in the sense, and I loved how you kept looking at the camera.
Yeah.
You knew the clips, you knew what was coming.
Yeah.
And you kind of hijacked the whole conversation, and everyone went there to see you maybe potentially trip up. And Piers really made you look good.
Yeah, it was certainly a PR win. Like afterwards, I was a little bit mad at myself because I'm a perfectionist, but my team analyzed the comments on every single video I've ever made. I get a report every single day of the entire internet, what's said about me, what's good, what's bad, etc. And Piers Morgan was my highest performing interview ever in regards to positive versus negative. 99.4% of comments were positive in my favor. So he lost. So that's how you have to measure it, right, with the metrics. So I would like to have said a lot more. I could have been a lot harder. I could have destroyed him. But I now know the Matrix is looking for me to trip up, right? So when they come at me and trying to get me to say something about LGBT or try and get me to say something about this race or whatever they're trying to do, I can't give the machine more ammo. So especially with someone like Piers, I had to be very careful with what I said because that's what they're waiting for, because they can't restart the old machine. The misogyny thing is over. They still want me gone. So they're waiting for something to grasp onto. Yeah. That's what they're doing.
I mean, I think some of the shots he used were cheap regarding this poor young girl.
Yeah, bro,
I mean, I've got daughters, you know, for me, and even if you haven't got kids, you know, you're around kids all the time. Our fan base, your fan base, yours are youngsters. And I was like, bro, you've got an agenda, but don't be sick. And I like the way you brought that up, you know, because that's like,
what the fuck's that got
he
to do with
wanted some clickbait of you saying one thing wrong, and that's it. You would have finished.
Yep. It is criminal. And these people, they're only out for themselves, and that's the internet as a whole. And it's also, the algorithm was rewarding people. Like when this whole Matrix attack happened, it was very orchestrated. I knew it was coming. I knew I'd get to a point where they were going to cancel me, but I didn't know it'd be as orchestrated as it was. So first, the algo started rewarding people who made a negative video of me. So my own team would make a video that was positive of me, and it would basically get 0 views. But if you made a negative video by Andrew Tate, it was always the top of every single one. So it's basically telling every YouTuber, if you do a negative Andrew Tate video, you get views. So that's the first bribe, right? Because they don't give a shit, right? They want views. So that's the first thing. And then the way it was orchestrated amongst the charities and NGOs and these activists, the way they all came out at the same, within 3 minutes, bro. Within 3 minutes, with 150 different activists post basically the same wording and slightly rewritten in the same picture. There's somebody above and behind all this shit. So they decided, somebody, whoever they are, don't kill me. I'd never kill myself. Don't fucking try. But, bro, because that's what's next. That's what's next. It's scary. I'm telling you, everyone thinks I'm paranoid. Everyone thinks I'm crazy. But it is.
I'm telling you, after yesterday, he was, I'm not sure when we're going to release this, but when he was at the gym, he came for a public workout. What I witnessed was insane. Yeah. It literally was, people were trampled on. The lift went out of order. People were jumping on the lift, bringing signs, pushing my assistant. And I was like, I said to him in the car, so this is like that Kim Kardashian, Cristiano Ronaldo kind of level. Yeah. Like I've had a lot of these YouTubers here. I've had the Mayweathers, the John Cena's, the Khabibs, but it's a different kind of thing. And I think where you've been banned makes you more of this.
They've martyred me, yeah.
Yeah, they've martyred you. Yeah. You know, like Prince back in the day, the singer. You never saw him in interviews. You didn't see them. So it's like, oh, there's Prince. You know, nowadays social media, like this whole influence. I hate the word influencer, but they're everywhere. You know, they're everywhere. Yeah. Are they really celebs?
Yeah.
I think it's a little.
You know what I mean?
It's a little bit different as well with Mayweather. You might support him, but he's not really doing anything for you, bar entertaining. Cristiano Ronaldo, he may put a ball in the net for you. But with some of your stuff about the Matrix, I use the term a lot now. And as soon as I use a subtle one of your terms, people come at me for it. But I escaped the Matrix by accident. When I became a personal trainer, I actually just wanted to do a job I enjoyed, and I made my own business. And I was like, what, I can expense stuff? Yeah. You mean I have a tax-efficient business? I'm going to work in shorts, and suddenly all my friends that are doing pay-as-you-earn are getting really screwed over. And then I was like, oh, I'm going to go to a fitness event in, somewhere foreign. I'll go Portugal. I can write that off against my tax bill. And I was like, why did no one tell me this? And why is no one telling anyone else? So when people hear your content and understand, they go, hold on a second. I'm being fooled into supporting the economy and it doesn't work out for me. Yep. That emotional connection that they get from that is insane. And it's more of an emotional one than anything else, which is why the fans are so crazy. And I think the kids, it can be TikTok, but I think also they need more direction. Older generations probably got more friends, more peers, more colleagues that they can talk and communicate with. So yeah, when I see the videos and how young everyone is in the crowd, there's obviously a need here for a role model. Otherwise they wouldn't be doing what they're doing.
You know, when you got banned, would you have, if you knew that was coming, would you have slowed down earlier, with the stuff you were saying?
So firstly I knew it was coming. Secondly, there's been a few people online who said that I should have tapered down with what I was saying, but I had already tapered down 2 or 3 months prior to the banning because I knew it was coming. But the internet's forever, right?
And also, my word for you is like the social media drug dealer, where you're just expanding too fast and then just they trap down on you.
Yeah, it's influence. The problem is I truly believe it doesn't matter what I would have said or what I would have changed. I think that when you get to a level of influence where your soul is not bought and you're not completely owned, however it's done. Usually most people who are famous are owned financially. They have a sponsorship deal. They have a record label. They have a sports team. They have whatever. When you're at a point where you're truly completely independent and nobody can... If they text you and say this, and you say, get fucked, and you have massive influence over the youth, which is the number one, especially the masculine youth. I have a lot of fans between all ages, right? But let's say 15 to 25. That number one demographic is the demographic that the people in charge of the world are most afraid about. They're the ones who start revolutions. They're the ones you need to die in wars. They're the backbone of the slave economy. They're the people you need to go out there and work their ass off and pay their taxes and have a sexless marriage and die. If I'm starting to convince, that's what they want. If I'm convincing large amounts of these people to think for themselves and ignore the slave mind programming and tell the government to basically get fucked, and I want to think for myself and be a sovereign individual, I'm a threat to the system. And they sit there and they say, okay, this person's a threat. What's the advantage of allowing him to have a voice? Fucking zero. So I knew they were going to come for me because of the amount of influence I'd amassed. It's not about what I said. It's nothing that, if anyone who believes it's about what I said is juvenile. It's because I had huge influence. And people underestimate how important influence is. The war in Ukraine and Russia right now is what? People are dying. Machines of war are out in a field somewhere, blowing people to smithereens. So that one country can get influence over land. So to say, this area uses this currency and you read our newspaper, we have influence. Influence is the bottom line of everything. It always has been. That's what wars are fought for. It's what the media machine exists for. It's why the YouTube algorithms are rigged. It's why elections are fucking... I don't want to get killed. It's why elections are very fair. It's all influence. So when you're massively influential, they're scared of you. And they sit there and go, okay, he's influential and he's telling people not to sign up to the propaganda. Fuck him.
So why don't you run for president or something?
Because then I'll die.
Then he'll be shot. He'll be
then
like
they'll
JFK, yeah.
Get Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. You hang yourself.
Bro, it's a real concern for me. People think I'm crazy, and the reason I talk about this on every podcast is in case it happens. So there can be TikTok clips of me saying that I would never kill myself. Because I'm telling you, you get 3 stages in life. First, they shut you up, and if that fails, then it's false jail charges or it's death. I'm telling you.
Don't release a Machiavelli album and do a 2-pack.
So if you believe that, why would you keep going?
Because I have a duty to myself and God, my friend. Then I have to sell my soul, and I'm hoping I inspire other people to do the same and understand that when you shut up, when you be quiet and you ignore objective reality and you ignore one side of the argument, this is how they purport their lies. This is what The Matrix is. The movie The Matrix is people being used for their body heat, and their mind is living inside of a false reality to keep them occupied. What is the difference now? We're all out here working jobs, being used for our body heat, living inside a version of reality which is objectively false. Objectively, they will tell you there's things happening that aren't happening. They'll tell you to be afraid of things you shouldn't be afraid of. They'll tell you a fucking giraffe is a horse. They'll tell you all this garbage, and you have to ignore your own eyes and absorb it and accept it. It's all, the whole world's fake. Everything's fake. And I don't think many people actually understand how fake it is. Every single thing from the World Health Organization to the federal system to the legal system to the judicial system is fake. It's all a scam.
I actually saw a tweet or someone shared it apologizing
Yeah.
about a vaccine or something like
I
that.
went crazy. Like, so I was sat at home and I saw the relatively old news piece that was saying the vaccine was never tested to reduce transmission. And I saw this as an opportunity a year and a half ago to make a very viral video where I was saying, come on guys, you're banging coke up your nose that probably came into the country up someone's ass, and now you're moaning about a vaccine. And I was like, there's a good angle here, and people are like, ho ho ho. And he's praising the vaccine, and I was like, virtue, cheers guys. But then when I came around, I was like, fuck, a lot of people that I ripped into I owe an apology to.
Yeah, they lied to you.
Yeah.
They lied. This is what I'm saying. The pandemic, or I don't even like calling it that because it's a lie, but the whatever you want to call it, that is a perfect example of how they can completely purport a false version of reality. Anyone who talks against it gets deleted. Everyone who talks for it gets amplified. And they make you afraid of something that you never saw with your own eyes. I ask people this all the time. Did you objectively see? Did you see people falling down the street? Did you see long lines outside of hospitals? Did you see ambulances running left, right, and center? Did you see what they told you was happening? The answer is fucking no. They told you it was happening enough times for you to believe it. That's all that happened. It's a fucking scam. It's the Matrix, bro. It's a lie. It's a fucking scam. If they would have never put it on the news and you lived your life as normal, you wouldn't have noticed the fucking thing.
Yeah.
Think what they did to people over 3 years.
So let's say that you continue to grow, and you start to pull minds out of the Matrix. Is there a point that if we get too many people out of the Matrix that there could be a collapse? Because ultimately, the way things are going, it's a broken system. But if we bring everyone out of that broken system,
then it's right. Yeah.
So there's almost an element of you getting people that are loyal to you, taking them out, and the others that hate you, you just kind of leave them in.
That's exactly it. The whole world, you can't unplug everybody because then society would collapse, right? Yeah. But I do like to think if there's a contingent of free minds, it prevents tyranny. I think that if not enough people stand up, I do think it's genuinely a battle of good versus evil. I think it's simple as that, Tam. I think if someone's not standing there saying this is wrong, then evil wins. Think how many things they're already purporting on our children in the Western world.
For sure.
Imagine if no one stands up, and very few people do. Imagine if no one was. Imagine how fast it would accelerate. This is genuinely a battle of good versus evil. Dubai is insulated. Eastern Europe's semi-insulated. Certain parts of the world are. But if you go to America and send your kid to school and read the shit that they're going through on a daily basis, it's fucking evil. Someone has to stand up and fight this stuff.
No, I've got kids, and for me, this hits home because I'm a Muslim. I have my beliefs and values, what I think, but I will never push it as a Muslim. It's not allowed. It's not like maybe I don't agree, but whatever someone chooses to be or their sexual orientation or whatever, it's not my problem. I feel like anything pushing an agenda on innocent, people who can't even decide, who are not mature. What does the word mature mean? Going through puberty, also mentally being mature. Yep. It doesn't mean your balls could drop at like 10. I saw kids in my school with beards, like little Pakistani kids, and I'm next to them and they have big beards, you know what I'm saying? In the school, and my moustache was saying I was growing out, I looked like a fat Hitler, But my point is that still doesn't mean you're mature enough to make a decision. Like nowadays, my kid can swipe up on my phone when a message comes and watch YouTube. I had a runny nose at 10 looking like that, jumping off, trees. We were a different generation, But still, to push that agenda, choose your own sex, like take away from the parents. I feel like he said, in the West, if I were to discipline my kid or say something wrong, they could literally take my children away from me and I have no say. It's not the word own, but my kids don't belong to me.
They don't, you're right.
In the West, they don't. I've seen it. They bring you these books, and again, it's not about that, what you believe and what you're not, but you can't push in it the same way. I will never let Muslims push an agenda. Everyone be Muslim or everyone be a vegan. Everything's the same. It should be the same. Kids, whatever they want to do. My kids, I've never told them to buy a Barbie doll or a gun or play football. They just naturally themselves liked, here's some nail polish and I'm sitting there putting stuff on me. Yeah. Just let them flow. Yeah. I tried to get them to wrestle and go hit pads. I was like, no, I said, come on, kickboxing, but they didn't want to do it. Yeah. So it's something, a natural inclination, in my opinion, was in there from genetic makeup, in my opinion, that people tend to do what they do, you know? But pushing that agenda is scary, and hence why I chose to live in Dubai and raise my kids, especially here, because I don't want to have these books where, you know, just confusing them at an early age, or where you can choose your pronoun. And it's no disrespect to anyone, but I think as a kid, they don't even know what they want to be. They don't even know what day of the week it is.
Yeah.
You know, they think they're Wonder Woman meets Frozen, Elsa. They don't know. And yet you're putting this on them and saying, no, you must choose. And then giving the parents, like, come and see us. We're going to get the social services to say this and that. It's like communism, in a way. It's communism.
Yeah, the kids aren't yours in the West, and they don't want them to be yours. I don't think people understand how this extrapolates out to all society. The reason they want everybody broke, the reason they inflate the currency, the reason it takes two people now, the father and the mother, to be working your asses off is because that means the kids belong to the school. They go to school all day and they get programmed, and then they watch the internet all day and they get programmed again. They're not your children. And Tam's right. You should be able to have children with the idea of raising them how you see fit, however that is. We can't tell other people how to raise their kids, but no one should be telling us how to raise ours. And you nailed it. In the West, social services, XYZ, if you want to discipline your child or tell them something ain't real, they tell the teacher, you lose your kid. You don't own your kid. You don't own your house because they'll take that from you if you don't wear your mask. It's all bullshit. Like most people don't realize on every level how corrupted society is. It's truly scary, and that's why I stand up and say these things. And if they kill me, it was nice meeting you, gentlemen. But
you know, in the UK now, if you take your kid out of school, you get fined. So if you want to take him on holiday during term, you have to pay money. You're like, hold on, I'm giving you one less kid to educate. That's a spare seat in the class.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's bonkers.
But you don't think there should be some rules? Like, just wondering.
there should absolutely be some rules, but you need checks and balances and everything, which is why you need somebody to talk. You always need someone to talk against the rules, even if the rules are completely right.
Yeah.
The second you have nobody talking against any kind of agenda, it becomes tyrannical, no matter what it is, no matter how well-intentioned it is. I actually believe a lot of the things that exist now to keep society in order were started with good intentions. I don't believe that Facebook or social media was started with the intention of controlling populations, but it just ends up there. That's how it ends up when they become powerful. So yeah, you certainly need rules, but now we're in a situation where certain people can make rules and other people can't talk against them. And that only leads one place. That can't lead anywhere good.
Yeah, but you see, rules are evolving.
Yeah.
For example, who knows what's next? Legally marrying animals, or legally, like, your kid can... I don't know. It's just changed. Is it like in the 60s, there was a certain way. Even when I was young, like in the 80s, I remember, there was discipline. Like, you chatted shit, an old guy outside a pub will just punch you. Yeah. Nothing will happen.
Yeah.
Or another... I would go around my friend's house, say we kicked the football, hit the window. His dad could really give me a bollocking. It was just the norm. My parents would be like, that's okay, I understand. Or teachers used to... What was it? The cane.
Yeah.
I'm not saying hit, but there was discipline. Now teachers can't even tell a kid off. I'll tell the teachers, listen, that's their job. Teach them discipline. I don't mind that. Now kids like, no, then the parents come, threaten the teachers.
Yeah,
it's like, it's havoc.
Me, I'm kind of half and half in my head about it. Sometimes I say anyone should be able to say anything, post anything. Especially like even when you got banned, I was like, well, should someone really get banned? Just don't watch their content if you don't like it. But sometimes I'm kind of like, think twice about it, because I'm like, you know how nowadays you have the they, them, or like you said, an animal can marry a person. But if you keep letting that stuff get posted, then other people are like, oh, you know, people that are attention deprived. If I go do that, look, someone's getting attention for marrying a dog. Let me go marry a horse. Yeah. So you might be promoting that. So what do you think about that? You know what I mean? Because I'm kind of too sensed in that. Like,
I think, look, freedom of speech. There's no such thing. There is no freedom of speech anywhere. There's no such thing.
Yeah.
Because then they'll say, then it's hate. If they don't like it, it's hate speech. Like I saw one of your comments regarding white privilege or BLM, what got blown up. And I understood what you were saying. I was on your side. Like, I got in a lot of trouble because people see me as an ethnic or a brown. I can say things that you can't. And I understood that. They were like, white privilege. This term white privilege I hate. You know, it didn't make sense. And you made a comment. I'm not sure what it was.
I definitely messed
and
this
you got
one
a
up.
lot of stick.
I messed this one up a bit.
You got a lot of stick for it. But I know your intention behind it. But maybe it's delivery.
I'd been working hard. It was tired. In the morning I was having coffee and someone said, it's okay for you. You're a white, straight, cisgender male. And I was like, it just boiled up inside. And I said, maybe I just fucking outworked you for 10 years. Maybe it was that.
Yeah.
And then everything was like, you're dismissing white privilege, you're doing this. And I was like, guys, do you know what? My mum and dad are still together. I lived at home till I was like 26, which was great because I was PTing 13 hours a day and my mum would leave food in the morning for me to eat. They supported me. These are genuine things that I was really privileged with. And I was like, please don't overlook 10 years of hard work and just say that I'm a straight white male, because that really hit an emotion deep down that I was like, we cannot tarnish young people's minds with the idea that, you know, oh, it wasn't work, it was this. Same when people are in shape or world champion kickboxers. People like to connect the dots what suits their narrative and they overlook the main lesson they need to get out of life.
I think being privileged is a negative anyways.
No, that's just the term. I think, listen, I've got very, and I understand. My races were colonized. This history is history, but everyone was responsible for certain things. Muslims did things, the Mongols, Romans. Everyone had their part in history.
Yeah.
But it's like going to a German and abusing them for the atrocities in World War II. You couldn't.
Yeah.
What's some German kid who's like listening to TikTok, listening to like Biggie Smalls, got to do with Hitler, or white privilege? Like I was raised in a white community. Even when the local term was used as pecky shop in those days, yeah, being an Asian, it wasn't even racist. It's just uneducated. It's the society you're in. You know what I'm saying? So people take things out of context and like you're probably the old school kind of like that kind of cloth, but it gets blown up. You have to be so careful, especially you're on that fitness spotlight. What you doing? What you do? Whatever you say now. Especially I told him, I said, you're so big now. You don't realize it. The most biggest danger you've got is like what you even say, how you move, where you are. You could be in a restaurant, women. Any action you do, people got phones out. It's scary.
Yeah.
They can edit anything now.
It is scary, but the white privilege attack, I'll get in trouble here. But I agree with you. I think it's clown world. I think to look at somebody who's white who's successful and say it's only because they're white is stupid.
It's
I think it's
pathetic,
asinine. It's pathetic, and it's trying to remove any self accountability and self responsibility. The people who were saying that to you were not extremely successful black people or extremely successful brown people. I've never known a very successul brown man who goes to another successful white man and says,
I want to add to that. It would have been white people saying that to you.
100%. 100%.
I'm not racist. My wife's white. You know, my kids are mixed. We're mixed. I'm all for mixed. I don't see race.
I'm mixed.
It's the abuse you usually get is from your own community. I've noticed that Muslims target me or Asians, Iranians or Arabs. It would have been the white community trying to relate, jumping on the bandwagon. That's what's so annoying about the whole
Tall
thing.
poppy syndrome, where they say that if you had like a field of poppies, if one sticks out above the rest, it doesn't look nice, chop it down.
Yeah.
So it's that, and it's really prominent in a lot of cultures around the world. And like you say, you get attacked by your own people. Well, I've got a question for you with the size of your YouTube following and YouTube taking people's channels. Like that's gut-wrenching for so many creators. Do you feel that there's a lot of pressure on you to conform?
Not really. To be honest, I always say like even if they shut me down.